Hi. Can you hear me?
I can, but I was muted. So.
Okay. That's good. I was getting anxious there. Every time I do one of these, I'm like, is the person coming? Am I? Usually I'm the one that's late. So.
I looked down and I was like, it's exactly 8 minutes. I have to go.
It's anxiety provoking.
I know.
Oh, more nervous about that than pretty much anything else.
I know. Well, when we did the articulation, the 6x6 form, they must have started early. So it was like 8 minutes before. And I think I probably got in 7 minutes before. And they were already like, oh, we're still missing people. And I was like,
no.
So,
oh my goodness.
Like, at least this is only me. Like, we're just waiting on me for this. So.
Okay, well, that's good. So you're familiar with this. You know what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'll do the normal, welcome to whoever shows up.
Yes.
And even if nobody shows up, we'll still go through it because they
Perfect.
can look at the recording at a later time.
Yeah.
So
and I think I'll still get, that's what happened with I just did a panel last week and we still got all of the registrants because we only had one ended up coming, but we had 5 people register. So we got the people who came in their questions and then we got the registrants. So that was good.
That's good to know. Cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, it's so stressful.
It is. I know. It's like, oh, am I doing the right thing? Because I mean, the first time I tried to do it, this was my third one of like half a dozen. But the first one I did, I thought, and I watched the video and I was live with the training. I'm like, oh, this is easy. Click, click, click. And I couldn't get on. And it was because I have my own Zoom account. And I hadn't completely signed out of that one. So it wouldn't let me do this one. And so I did get it, but I was there like 2 minutes before and all the panelists were there going, is she going to come? Is she going to come? Like, and so
like, I'm trying.
Exactly. It's like, I'm on my way. I promise.
Yes.
So, and then the second one I did was a panel and no one showed up. The first one, there were 6 people. And I mean, the panelists were all there, but there were no audience members.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, you expect to have a few questions come in and I can't type in questions because I would have said, hey, what about?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was like, what do we do about that? I actually blocked my face and I stopped my video, but my mic will still, I'll mute myself. But if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to holler at me.
Awesome.
I'm looking, we still got 5 minutes. That's good.
Yeah.
So but today's the first day of NACAC.
Oh, yeah.
And so it ended like 15 minutes ago. So I have no idea what that's going to look like in terms of our attendance.
Yeah.
What's going on.
Yeah, we didn't get into any of the NACAC ones. It was literally like filled up in 30 seconds.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow.
That's how the last, so the one in the spring, that's how it was.
Yeah.
And so we're in Michigan. And so our OACAC is very, very active and NACAC is not.
Really?
Kind of through macro here. Yeah. It's more like registrar and things like that everyone's through. So it's very interesting, to see the differences between those two things.
Yeah. Well, but in Michigan, MCAN is really pretty active, and I think they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff with Chuck O'Connor. Is it Chuck? No, Patrick O'Connor. There we go.
I was saying, oh yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, I know. No. Patrick O'Connor. Do you know who he is? He's at Cranbrook.
I don't think so.
He's one of the, he's a counselor at an independent high school. I think it's Cranbrook. And he's the one who has really advocated, for 18 years, he advocated so that school counselors had to have training in how to do college counseling because it's not part of a master's training program. So,
which is literally mind-blowing to me.
It is, isn't it? Because otherwise you're learning on the job and it's ridiculous, right? And so it took him 18 years, but he finally got the legislature to put that into the requirements so that when students are, or when school counselors are renewing their licenses, they have to take a training course, and
Yeah.
MCAN pays for the training course.
Oh,
They give them a
nice.
scholarship. It's $800, but they give them a scholarship
Oh, nice.
so that they can do that. And it, I mean, it's kind of a hybrid type of setup, mostly online, but you can meet if you want to. And, it's a cool setup. But it's, I don't know. I think it's just really silly because the students are the ones who end up suffering if they don't have a school counselor who understands how to put that all together.
Yeah. Like, I know what your transcript is. Figure it out. Like,
yeah, pretty much. I know it's ridiculous. So how long have you been with Albion?
this is my second cycle.
Uh-huh.
So I have most of our out-of-state territory. So mine is like really, really wacky. It was last year too. And this year it has gotten even more wacky.
Yeah.
So we had a counselor leave in like September. So I took on a lot of her territory, and now someone new who's like just focusing on like the Chicago area and like the Illinois suburbs, Wisconsin, Minnesota, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I also had all of that last year. But now I have California, Oregon. I'm from Ohio. So I was very happy to have it. I have the whole state, and then all of the East Coast, and then I have 4 Michigan counties.
Oh my goodness.
And assorted like Utah and North Dakota and stuff out there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this is my second cycle. Neither of them have been typical.
Right.
So it's been very interesting. But I mean, we had a great recruitment year. This was one of our biggest classes ever. So
really?
Yeah, I know it was a big surprise. A lot of schools struggled this year, and like it was definitely a struggle, but we did it. I don't know. It worked. Yeah. People must like when I talk or something.
And that's awesome. Do you know Randy Heathman? Yeah, she's an independent consultant as well. We actually trained at the same time for
awesome.
STI. Yeah, tell her that you talked with Brenda. She'll know who that is.
Yeah, I'm actually doing an event for her this weekend.
Yeah.
Equestrian Hunt Seat is doing a virtual visit, and I am their presenter. So.
Oh, how exciting!
Yes.
How exciting! Yeah, no, she's awesome. Whenever any of us have anything to do with equestrians, we're like, Randy's your girl. Go to her. Just leave it. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun to connect with her at conferences and everything. And that's been the hard thing. It's like all of our conferences are virtual and everything else. And it's like, we can't really do that.
Yeah.
All right. It's 5. We should get this show on the road.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Welcome to this evening's presentation from Albion College. This is the virtual college exploration for all Ohio students, sponsored by OACAC.org. You can ask questions using the Q&A button to type your questions to the presenters at any time. They may answer during the presentation or may hold them until the end. Your camera and microphone are both off. You are muted. Your video is off. The panelists cannot see you or hear you, which is why you need to use the Q&A button for your questions. You may sign up for more sessions at www.oacac.org, and a recording of this session will be available at that same oacac.org website in about a week. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to our presenter from Albion.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dana Smith, and I am your admission counselor at Albion College in Albion, Michigan. So anyone in Michigan normally uses our hand to show you where we're at. So we're about right here, right between Grand Rapids and Detroit, about an hour and a half from Toledo. So not very far from almost anywhere in Ohio. I'm an Ohio native myself, and so you can go to Michigan and still love Ohio. So welcome. We're so excited to be able to share a little bit more about Albion with you today. Right here is our mascot, Britt, who you'll see around campus for all campus events, whether it's athletic or Greek life or music. He's normally out and about. So good person to get to know now. But to start, I just wanted to share a little bit more about Albion in general. So we're a pretty small school, about 1,500 students. We actually just welcomed our biggest class ever this past fall, and so kind of hoping to grow, but right now we're still around that 1,500 range, which allows us to have that small class size of about 16 students per class and that really intimate faculty-student ratio of 11:1. This is definitely a place where you get to know your faculty members, where you build those relationships from the moment that you step on campus. About 60% of our faculty live in the Albion area, so it's not uncommon to run into them walking their dog on the quad, or run into them downtown if you're grabbing a coffee at the Foundry or at the grocery store. They have students over for dinner and for, after hours lectures and things like that. So it's more than just this number here. It really is a relationships that our students build with their faculty members. Another important thing I always like to point out is this placement rate and graduation rate. So not only are a majority of our students graduating in 4 years and having that really self-catered academic plan, but they have jobs after graduation. I think there's definitely this misconception that liberal arts students don't get jobs. And right here is a very clear example that that's not the case. 97% of our students are employed, doing some kind of service work, or are in their graduate school within 6 months of graduation. So these are two numbers that we're incredibly proud of. And we are all undergraduate, so we don't have any graduate students. So you're not competing against graduate students for research, for professor attention. All of your faculty members are full PhD faculty members. So just a little bit of Albion by the numbers, so you can have that first impression of the kind of school that we are. Awesome. So the application process I wanted to make sure to touch on, it's going to be pretty similar for any size schools like Albion. One thing that I really wanted to mention is that we are test optional this year. So you're not going to see an ACT or SAT square on this screen right now. The biggest thing for us is going to be your high school transcript. So we're looking at not only your GPA, but the kinds of classes that you're taking, your grade trend, what kind of has your whole 4 years looked like. And don't worry, we are taking into account that every school did virtual and distance learning a little bit different this year. I'm the one who's reading your application, so I get to know you. I get to look at every student individually. So we're going to be taking all of those things, the flexible nature of the school years that you've had to do the past couple of months, all of that's coming into consideration. Looking at some of these other things, recommendations I'll read. So that can be from a teacher, from a boss, from a mentor, maybe from someone that you know in the community, a family friend, things like that. But someone who can speak to the kind of student that you're going to be. Sometimes students will submit 1, sometimes they'll submit 4. For us, we just want to have someone talk about the kind of student that you are. So it's totally up to you. We'll also look at your essay. So a good distinction to know is that we are on the Common App and we have our own application. Our own application, the essay is optional. So I always still highly, highly recommend and encourage students to submit that essay, because the more I know about you, the better. So it is optional, but highly recommended. On the Common App, it is required, and I absolutely read that for all Common App students. And of course, extracurriculars are going to look a little bit different this year as well. So we are, like I said, going to take that into account, but definitely put the things that, maybe you're excited about to hopefully do once we're back to normal in the spring, or the things that you've done before COVID started. We want to know about all the things that make you you. And then finally, if you have any discipline history, we always just encourage students to be very forthcoming about that. What did you learn from that experience? Is it going to happen again? Things like that. But if you don't have any, then you don't put that down and we won't mind. So kind of by my talking about that, you might get the impression that we have a very holistic view to admission. So you are more than that GPA. It's not going into a system. We're not saying, oh, 3.7, great, on to the next student. I am reading every single part of your application. I'm making notes about it, things that I got excited about reading your application, thinking about people I can connect you with on campus based on the things that you write. So truly, like, the more you want to put on there, the better. That's how I get excited about students and know that you might be a good fit here at Albion. Awesome. So obviously academics are incredibly important. But another equally important part of your college experience is going to be the activities and the things that you're involved with outside of the classroom. So for us, we have a very vibrant campus community. I always joke, I promise we're not a cult. Everyone just really likes each other. People stay on campus, they get to know each other. The first thing that all of our students say when they ask what makes Albion special is, it's the community. It's the welcoming nature of it. It's how excited everyone is to see each other and be involved in things. So that's definitely the kind of rhetoric that you'll hear the more you talk to different people from Albion. Some specific things that we have here. Union Board is our student activities group. So they're a huge, huge part of campus culture. Even now, even though we can't bring in-person acts to campus, they're still doing virtual game nights, virtual karaoke night. They did a virtual magician. They did movies out on the quad, and everyone socially distanced and watched a movie on the quad. So they're still doing these things, even though we've had to kind of change what a typical fall semester would look like. So they generally have programming 5 days a week. So there's always something to do on campus, even if you just need a quick break from your homework. So Greek life and athletics, I normally talk about concurrently because they're such a big part of our campus culture. About 40% of our students are involved in Greek life, and we do have national fraternities and sororities. So we go through the recruitment process, the students are really involved. Fraternities have fraternity housing, and the sororities have lodges where they host their meetings and events and things like that. 55% of our students are involved in varsity athletics. We have 23 varsity sports and actually just added esports and men's and women's wrestling. So it is a huge part of campus culture. And they're also a history of very successful athletic teams. So for example, men's basketball and women's lacrosse, men's swim and dive are all conference champs in the last 2 or 3 years. So really strong, great programs. Any students who are interested in kind of continuing their athletic career, just reach out to me after you watch this video or after the session today, and I can get you connected with one of our coaches. And then if none of those things appeal to you, we have over 100 other clubs and organizations that might. So there's Brits Who Knit, there's the Squirrel Watching Society, we have Euphonics, which is our a cappella group on campus. We have Umbrella, which is our overseeing organization for all of our diversity and identity-based groups on campus. There's so many options and things for you to get involved with. My other big joke is our students' email signatures are normally longer than the emails they send because they're involved in so many things. So many ways to get involved, build those relationships outside of the classroom, and find the people that are going to be your friends for the rest of their life. So a couple of Albionisms. So being a smaller school, we don't have a big school of business or a school of nursing or anything like that. But we recognize that students have these different professional tracks that they want to be successful and prepared for after they leave Albion. So we have undergraduate concentrations that you can have in addition to a major or a minor. So going through in order here, Gerstacker is for business, Ford is for public policy, Wilson is for pre-medicine and anything in the healthcare field. Honors is a very interdisciplinary thing here at Albion, which I can talk a little bit more about for any interested students. And then CSE is our Center for Sustainability and the Environment. So you can come in and major in art and still have a concentration in Gerstacker, because maybe you're interested in opening up your own art gallery someday and you have the art piece, but you want to know how to run the business and how to be an entrepreneur and things like that. Maybe you know that you want to come in and major in psychology, but you know that you want to go pre-med. Awesome. You're going to work with our advisors in the Wilson Institute to make sure that not only are you going to complete your undergraduate major, but you're also taking all of the courses you need to be a successful student in medical school. So all of these things are, when I talk about what makes Albion unique, I talk about our centers and institutes. Finally, all these three things here at the bottom, I think, go together so seamlessly. So our alumni, I know everyone says this, but really are some of the best anywhere. You can see that just in how many alumni have chosen to come back and work here, how many alums give back, how many buildings there are that are here because an alum thought it was a worthy investment in the Albion community, and how willing they are to engage with our current students. So a lot of these institute and centers up here require some kind of internship or job shadowing experience. And so many of those are made possible by our alums generously giving their time, offering their services, telling students, yes, come see what it's like, come see what an Albion degree did for me and what it can do for you in the kind of field that you want to be a part of. We have a career and internship center on campus that works so much with our alums. But if we don't have an alum in that field, then the Career and Internship Center will help you find some place for you to explore that out of the classroom experience that you're looking for. Whether it's while you're a current student or 30 years from now, you're looking for a career change, you can always reach out to the Albion Career and Internship Center. They're there for lifelong assistance. And finally, experiential learning ties into both of these things pretty seamlessly, I think. We are huge on outside of the classroom learning. Like I mentioned, it's super common for students to do 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 internships or job shadowing opportunities. Our students study abroad. They go on mini trips over breaks. They do internships during the school year. They get connected with alums and do informational interviews. So they're doing all of these things. They do research to make sure that it's more than just an academic experience you're having here. It really is a cohesive, well-rounded, I've seen this in the real world and this is still what I want to do. Awesome. So I know that there's also this conception that private schools are not affordable. And so I never want any student leaving a conversation with me thinking that Albion can't be affordable for them. So I want to walk through what our packaging system looks like, what scholarships look like, how we view each individual student, and hopefully clear up some of that confusion about what is financial aid at a higher education institution. Every student who applies to Albion, if you're admitted, you will be eligible for merit-based scholarships. So this year, those range from $23,000 to $34,000, and they're renewable all 4 years. So as long as you maintain a certain GPA, you will automatically have that applied every year to your financial aid award. Coming from Ohio, you guys are also eligible for out-of-state student grants. Those are typically $3,000 per year. They might change, but that's the number I've been putting out into the universe because that's what it was last year. We also offer some one-off scholarships if you have a connection like to the Albion community, if you do some kind of visit, some other affiliations, but there's nothing that you're going to need to apply for. Everything that will be on your financial aid award will be automatically considered based on my reading of your application and your FAFSA, which I'll talk about a little bit next. So the FAFSA, for those of you who aren't familiar, is the free application for federal student aid. That opens October 1st, which is coming up right around the corner here. So for those of you who already have students in school, you'll be very familiar with this. My mom's on her 3rd kid and she always jokes she's a FAFSA expert now. So it does get easier for those of you who this is your first time. Basically what the FAFSA is, it collects all of your information and it spits out what's called an estimated family contribution number. So the federal government lets every school that your student is applying to know that, hey, this is the amount of money this family can afford to pay. So that's where this Albion commitment money comes in. So obviously there's still going to be a pretty big gap between what your family can afford and your merit-based scholarship potentially. So we fill that need with Albion commitment grant. Again, that's going to look different for every single family. When I do longer presentations, we go through a bunch of different scenarios about what if your EFC is like this? What if your EFC is like this? But my big thing is I always want to be very transparent about the way that we package aid. I want it to be very clear where we're getting specific numbers from, why things are appearing on an award versus not for someone else that you might know. It really is an individual process, which is why I encourage families to fill out that FAFSA. That way we can make sure that it is actually reflective of your family's experience. I call every family that I work with and see if they want to walk through their financial aid award with me. A lot of them take me up on it because they're like, oh, we were just reading it and figured we knew what everything was coming from. But it can be confusing. Every school lists things differently. And so I always offer that service, that option for my families. Please don't hesitate to call me. We'll walk through it together, make sure that everyone is feeling comfortable about where the different numbers are coming from. And just, again, making sure that we're all on the same page, making sure that you feel like it can be affordable and talking through those issues together. Awesome. So that is about all that I have. I don't know if there are any questions. Something that I get questions about a lot are residence halls. So I will just address that right off the bat. So we are a residential college. Students are required to live on campus all 4 years unless they meet a specific residency exemption. So typically students are coming in, they have a roommate, they live in one of our 2 beautiful residence halls. And then there are different housing options as students go throughout their 4 years. So we have apartment style living, suite style living, specialty housing. I mentioned the fraternity houses earlier. So that's a question that we get a lot in terms of what is my housing going to look like? Yes, freshmen can have cars on campus is another question that I get a lot. And yes, students can double major, they can double minor, they can pack as much as they want into their schedule and still graduate in 4 years. So kind of spearheading some of those things that I get lots of questions about. Other than that, I don't think that we have any more questions. So I know this will be recorded and posted. Right here, I've got my contact information listed. I am the admission recruiter for the entire state of Ohio. So this 517-554-8194 number is my work cell phone. So that is a call or text number. I would say the best way is normally to reach me by email, especially during travel season when we're all doing all of these virtual visits. But feel free to call, email, text, send a carrier pigeon. I always joke that my job is very boring if students and families don't reach out. So definitely take advantage of me, take advantage of your admission counselors at other schools. And I'm truly looking forward to getting to work with you all this year. Thank you. I can't hear you. I'm assuming you're saying bye.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you know what? I don't think anybody heard that. I had my
Oh, no.
microphone off, so I'm going to share that again. Sorry. I wanted to make sure nobody heard us. The Virtual College Exploration, we want to thank you for joining us. There will be a quick 4-question survey if you are in attendance to ask you some more information and your impressions on the platform as well as the session. You may sign up for additional sessions at www.oacac.org, and the recording for this should be available in about a week. So thank you so much for all the information that you shared this evening. I hope that students will explore your school, and thank you again. Have a great night. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, OACAC.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.